Hey, all my kinetic athletes, Morrill Scott here, talking to you today about the at-home workout. So, let's get started. It's going to be more functional bodybuilding today. So we've had those types of workouts in class, not focused on getting your heart rate really high, but focusing more on muscle fatigue and movement patterns that we normally don't do in a normal class. So let's get started with the warm-up. Today, an 8-minute AMRAP, so not really going for speed here, but AMRAP just meaning that we're going through each of these movements, and if we finish before the 8-minute mark, we will go back to the top. Your first movement is the jumping jack. Really standard, just trying to elevate our heart rate, trying to get our body temperature up. Try and stay on your toes as you're bouncing from feet outside to feet inside, and try and make larger circles with your arms to help warm up your shoulders as well. After that, moving into Samson lunges. From standing, I will take a large step out to lunge. Once I'm in the bottom of that lunge position with my back knee on the floor, I want to try and drive my hips forward as my hands extend behind my head and hold that for a couple of seconds. Then you will alternate. So that's going to be 5 per side. Next up, the spider. So from a runner's lunge, I can start in a high plank position, right? That's a plank on my hands, not on my elbows. I want to try and bring one foot up to my hand. From there, I'm going to take my inside elbow, so the elbow on the side of the knee that's already up, touch that down to the floor, rotate out, following my hands with my eyes. I'll do that 5 per side as well. The more you can get your elbow down inside of your leg, the more you're going to feel this stretch in your hip flexor of the opposite leg. Next up, 10 unweighted or air squats. So standing shoulders width apart. From there, setting my hips back first, then down to get to a full depth squat. Ideally, what I want to be doing here is treating this just like a weighted squat. So my chest is up, my back is rigid, my core is tight as I'm heading down towards the bottom. Notice also that my knees are tracking over my toes at the bottom. That's going to help you keep your back in a good position. Also protect your knees from caving in. Lastly, we'll have a 30-second hollow hold. This is just meant to prep our core for what we're doing in the next portion. How that's going to work, from lying on the ground, I want to just keep the small of the back on the floor. Then from there, I want to keep my hands and feet off the ground and hold for 30 seconds. If that is too difficult or we're not there yet, I can bring my hands in, I can bring my feet in, or I can bring my hands and feet in to scale that movement. Okay, warm-up's done. We've done 8 minutes. Getting our heart rate elevated, getting our body temperature up, moving through similar movement patterns that we're going to see in the workout. Now, not like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, today is more functional bodybuilding. So it's going to be an 18-minute flow. So like the warm-up, it's an AMRAP style, but it's not an AMRAP intensity. So moving through each of these movements more focused on your quality. We have 4 different movements today. You'll start with the Goblet Lateral Lunge. So either some type of weighted dumbbell, maybe it's a kettlebell, or any weighted object. I always use the example of a heavy bag. I want to take a big step out to the side and squat down as far as I can get, remembering to keep that knee tracking out over your toes. Now you're going to do 12 per side there. Next up, skier squats. If you have a plate, like a bumper plate at home, this would be helpful to have. If you don't, you can also put your feet up maybe on a textbook that's up against a wall. You could also use a curb. But what I'm trying to do here is elevate my heels, keep my knees very close together, and try and squat to full depth. This is going to test a couple things. Number one, it's going to help us understand if we have some restrictions in our ankle mobility, if we can't get down to a full depth from that position. Additionally, this is going to be a little more quad dominant. So if you have more problems with this type of squat than you do with a normal or more feet out wide squat, then maybe quads is an area that we need to focus on. You have 16 reps there. Next is the bent over row. We're going 12 per side. We can use whatever weighted object that we've been using for our skier squats and our lateral lunge in order to pull back into our body. So starting with my knees slightly bent, I'm going to hinge backwards so my chest is now facing the floor. My back is still rigid, my shoulders are back and tight. From there, pulling that dumbbell almost back into your back pocket. So don't think about pulling straight up, think about pulling into your back pocket. Okay, next up, alternating V-ups, 16 of these. So that will be 8 per side. From that same hollow body position that we did in the warm-up, what I would like to do is kick one foot up and bring my hands so where they're landing on either side of it. So if one leg goes up, it's going in the middle of my two hands as I'm crunching upward. I want to try and maintain tension as much as I can through this. So maintain that hollow body position at the bottom of the rep. I don't want you to just flop back on the floor and completely lose tension. Okay, the workout's done. As always, let me know how you did in the comment section below, or if you have any questions, you can leave them down there as well. Additionally, if you have any questions for me, let me know at Morrill, that's MORRILL, at kineticcorporatewellness.com.